Five, four, three, two, one, and we're live.
That was weak. That was weak. Let me do that over.
That
Let
was
me do that
so
over.
Wait.
That was still weak. Let me do one last time. All right.
Nice,
All
nice,
right.
nice, nice. Okay, welcome back
Well,
to something
well,
nice.
thank you for blessing yourself to something nice. Introduce our
Today,
guest.
today the something nice on our show is Siduzi over here. Sid, what's up? Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Siddharth. I'm a master student, and I've known Varsha for most of my life. I've known Akhil for a little while, but I think we vibe
Like,
pretty well. So yeah.
Yeah. No, that's dope. I'm so psyched to have someone from home on the show, and I'm psyched that it's you. So it's good. It feels good.
Yeah, it's good to be here. Like very excited. So thank you very much for having me on the show.
for sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
today
Lot of-
today we've been wanting to do this episode for a while, Akil and I, because Akil and I watched this documentary like literally days after it came out, and we both were like, okay, we need to talk about this.
Yeah,
Especially,
we had plans
yeah. Go on, go
that
on.
was ruined by an unnamed person. We're not going to name his name, but we had plans that were ruined. And if you're watching this, you know who you are. I'm calling you out right now.
Yeah. Um, but hey, I'm honestly happy we're doing this now because I think we are a generation that has literally grown, like contributed to the growth of it. Like we are the generation that has contributed to the growth of it. So the conversation needs to be happening with us more than anyone else. And anyway, so ideally today we're going to be talking about social media versus social dilemma. And it's based off of the documentary Social Dilemma, which is currently raging Netflix. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. It is a perspective that I think a lot of people may know or may not know, but it's nice to have the creators and the contributors of this entire platform of social media reflect on it and talk about it, and it's really interesting. So okay, firstly, like I want to just know, like off the top of your head real quick, like what did you guys think of Social Dilemma after watching it?
Um, okay, so I don't want to run the risk of like sounding like a hard ass or a pompous dude or something, but some of those things I like learned about in some of my modules, so it wasn't a shock, but at the same time, it's always a reality check. I think when it hits you in the face, you know what I mean? When they put these facts and you're like, you know what, this is right, this is true because I like witness this on a day-to-day basis because
Mm-hmm.
of my own social media use.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it I think it was necessary because a lot of people, especially now with the pandemic and like the fact that a lot of people are stuck at home and having to deal with themselves, turn to social media a lot more than they were before. And like because they had a lot more time on their hands, it was a lot more. It was something that everyone was using. And I think it's important when you do something to know the negatives as well as the positives. You know, it's like doing a drug, for example. Like it's your choice to do that drug, but when you do it, like surely you'd want to know how you'd feel, the highs, but also what does it do to you, like the lows. And like they say in the documentary, it is a drug. You know, like
Yeah.
people genuinely can be addicted to it to the point where it's difficult to get off it. So I think it was important. I think it was really well done because I think the average person can understand it and they don't feel like they're being talked down upon. Like
Yeah.
that's always a risk you run with being a documentary. Like is you don't want people to think you're telling them to do shit. You know,
Yeah.
you've got to. It's got to be that there's that weird level you've got to find, and I think they found that pretty well. So yeah, I enjoyed it, and I think it's necessary in today's climate.
Mm.
Yeah, I agree. It was like shocking, but like it's not even like shocking like you're surprised. It's like shocking to the point where like you would just ignore like how big the results are. It's like everyone you know is addicted to their phone. Like everyone knows that. Like everyone, it's almost like a joke now when you say like, "Oh yeah, my phone is spying on me." Like if you talk about something,
Yeah.
and then it pops up as an ad like 5 minutes later. Like everyone like has it's not even like a myth. Everyone has literally first-hand experience like all these things, and we just ignore it, which is kind of like crazy. Like as a society, like we let them like invade our privacy to that extent, and you just act like it's normal and like
Mm.
it's supposed to be. Like, like that's just how it's supposed to be. So I feel like it was like a wake up call in that sense because it just like made you realize like why is this happening? Why did this happen?
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
do you think when you saw it?
What did you say, Akil?
So what do you think when you saw it?
Oh, I don't know. Okay, so again, like both of you said, I don't think everything they talked about like it was not like it was new to me. I think it's stuff that I had like preconceived, like things, thoughts running in our head. And I think the only reason the three of us feel this way is maybe because we all three of us grew up in societies and in countries that are on the spectrum of being affected by technology. They're like maybe closer to the lower end, and I think that's why the three of us maybe think this way, and we're like, actually we know this because we saw the other people like this when we weren't like that, you know. So I kind of, that's where I think a lot of us stem this kind of, we knew, but yeah. But it was interesting to sort of put numbers behind it. It was interesting to see evidence, statistics, and the app, like the creators of these like applications actually come forward and talk about it. That was really interesting. I don't think like Tristan Harris or like half the names that were listed in this documentary, I don't think a lot of them would have come forward if they had never left those applications and if they didn't think something wrong was going on, you know, like. So I thought that was really interesting. As a documentary, I thought it was extremely well made. I thought it was extremely well made as a documentary. The fact that, like, I like what Sid said about how they didn't talk down to you, because like they had like a storyline, you know, with the little kid and the sister and that family going on. Like it was easy to follow for someone who just like was just casually watching as well, like who had no idea, who could not relate to interviews and numbers. Like it was nice to see that. um yeah, I don't know, for me the entire switch into democracy, I was like, of course an American made this in my head. And then like, you know, like I didn't predict that. Like I thought, I knew they were going to touch on political, no, 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 but then like, you know, like devouring
Yeah.
democracies in other countries, no, no, no. I was like, of course an American made this. Like of course no one else but an American made this. um
Oh, sorry, I wanted to touch on that topic you were like just speaking on, like I wanted to talk about the little side movie they had going on like while the documentary was happening like simultaneously. For me, first time I watched it, I was like, okay, this like makes sense. But like the second time I was watching it, I felt like it also kind of like maybe intentional or not, like it kind of had like this kind of very eerie feeling, like to
mm,
kind of make people feel like freaked out or like scared that like this
yeah,
is happening to us. I definitely felt like it was kind of giving me those vibes, and I don't know if that was the intention or not, but I was like, like, yeah, this is a bad thing, but like, are they are they trying to exaggerate it more than it actually is? I don't know. So I'm not too sure how I felt about that like that side movie sequence. So, I don't know. What do you all think about that?
that's interesting.
It was, yeah, it was a bit weird. Look, I think they did definitely over dramatize it a bit, but at the same time, I think maybe that was for the like Vasha was also saying, like for the audience members that kind of wanna watch it, but like a lot of people lose track of things, like when people present like facts and figures, sometimes like you get overwhelmed, and like it would have been really easy for a person, for a kid, to watch that and like follow just the side story and
Mhm.
figure out what's going on, whereas like like Tristan Harris or whatever, they were talking about the big things and the algorithms that obviously would fly over the head of a kid or like a below average person that's watching it, whereas that same person can then follow the side story and kind of just like understand at least what's going on. But yeah, I think for the average person who understands the details and complexities of what's going on, the side story was a bit of a deviation. And like you said, you wouldn't figure it out in the first watching. I think the first time you watch it, it just goes along because you're obviously taking everything in. But upon second viewing, which like I watched it the second time as well, and it's a bit cringy. It's like, oh, do I really have to go through this? Like, this little girl break that? Come on, man. Come on, dude. But But I
Like
get you. I totally get
they
you.
had this scary sci-fi music in the
Yeah,
background.
in the
I
background.
was like, I was like, bro, I see what you're trying to do. I see what you're trying to do.
That's true. That's true. They did over dramatize it. I agree. Yeah, it was cringe in a lot of parts, but I thought, like, in a way, the fact that they considered the different, but even the tone of the side story, like Akil mentioned, I think it was really what's the word? It was very eerie and dark and scary. Like, I agree with Akil on that. Like, it was more like trying to say this could be you, like this, this doesn't have to be you. Like, I don't know. That was kind of the deal. But there were a lot of stuff. Like, there were a lot of you know what else I liked about the documentary? The fact that they found these quotes from like people like Sophocles and like just from ages ago, and trying to relate it to like current day, the fact that it's still applicable, these supposed life philosophy statements are still super applicable to today's world, in a world, and those statements and those quotes were said in a world where technology would have not even been the foreshadowing or the foresight. They would have never seen technology. Like Sophocles sitting right now being like, whoa, what? Like, I'd have to like speak on a laptop, like no, like would not have
Yeah.
expected that, so I thought it was cool. I thought it was like those stuff were cool. um but yeah, it was interesting. I think it was just interesting to put
What I would say about, sorry about that, but what I would say about the side story, although it's over dramatized, I definitely thought it was realistic.
yeah.
Like I could definitely see a situation like that, like happening, like someone like being like led on a YouTube rabbit hole or something like that, and like becoming with like crazy ideas. And Kyrie Irving say he was a flat earther because he like went on some YouTube rabbit hole. So I definitely thought that. So imagine for like a grown man, like compared to a little kid, I definitely thought that was like a realistic situation that could go on. So I don't know, is kind of crazy to think about. I think that like
Mm.
how fast and like how fast you could be convinced about something like online, like you could just be like bombarded with like all this information, like all these facts, and like a thought that you'd have never had before could just like become like very strongly like placed in you, and it's kind of scary to think about that. Like we do not even necessarily have control to like lead ourselves. That like people could be like just pushing you in these directions to like make you think a certain way, like act a certain way, like associate yourself with like certain groups or people or whatever. So is definitely very like scary to think about, like that could be a reality that we're facing.
And I think it kind of is, because I think that's part of our, like, the problem now with society is too many people believe in a certain thing, whether it's right or wrong. Look, I'm not gonna like judge any of that, but it's like you believe in something, and you obviously enter that into your systems, and like you put that in your algorithm, and suddenly all you're getting is like people that are just like convincing you that what you're believing is right. If you're a right, like a democratic person, like liberal or a conservative, it doesn't matter, but what you put in is what you're getting back in, like multiplied by like 100 or 1,000. So it's almost as if, like, even if you're not 100% certain, like you said, of something in your head, suddenly you get like 100 posts telling you the same thing. It's going to become your reality. Whether it's real
Yeah.
or not isn't the point. It becomes like your reality. And that's genuinely the problem, and gets to the point then when individuals are so sure of what they're reading and what they believe in, that they don't want to open up a conversation and talk about things with someone who believes completely the opposite to them. Because again, like, who we to say, like, there's certain things that obviously you can say are right or wrong, but there are a lot of things that are in a gray area, and like we can't judge because you have to walk in everyone's shoes and understand the entire like background of the situation. But the first step towards that is being able to talk to people. And like, the three of us have completely different backgrounds when you think about it, but we're all sitting here, and we're talking about things because we have certain like interests we believe in between us mutually, but also the things that we might not believe in that the other person does. But I want to know, like, why, what causes you to like believe that, like, who knows that's just how things are supposed to go. You're not supposed to just walk around with your mind closed and believe that you know everything there is to know, and that whoever's not in the same wavelength as you is completely off track and wrong and needs to be silenced or censored, or that's the problem. Like yeah, okay, yeah, you need to have free speech and free thought and stuff, but also there comes a point where this free speech is being used back against you by these your own algorithms. Your own devices are basically working against you. Like
Yeah.
I can say something stupid and my device will record that, and then the next thing I know, my newsfeed is filled with stupid things like that. The chemtrails are making the frogs gay, and then next thing I know, I've been done a 4-hour Alex Jones binge, and I come out thinking the Earth is you know I it's possible. It's so possible. You see people that go into these rabbit holes and you gotta like grab them, be like, yo, come back, you're going the wrong way, my man.
uh,
Hold on, straightforward, right down. Like
Facts.
it's crazy.
You know what that reminds me of? I don't know, like, remember this time period when there would always be these Illuminati conspiracy
Oh
theory
yeah.
videos on YouTube, and then like it'd be like Illuminati exposed, and like they would like show all this. So I don't know. That's the crazy. It's just to show it's not even a new thing. It's been
Yeah.
like been happening like ever since way back when. So that's really some mad to think about.
That's crazy. Yeah, I know. I think just speaking back to what Sid said about like when the reality around you becomes like whatever you think you may end up seeing, and that ends up becoming your genuine reality that you believe. And I can't remember who in the documentary, but somebody talks about how the scale tipping with your reality and your shared reality, that changes the moment you only focus on your reality. You're completely disregarding the ability to have a shared reality, and
Yeah,
that shared reality is what social media completely takes away. Like the fact that everybody's got their own truth, everybody's got their own facts. Like how can you have your own fact, bro? Like a fact is a fact. Like,
yeah. So,
so um things like that, like things not to say that perspectives of that fact cannot be different. They can, but the fact is a fact. And right now we've got so many people that will tell you that's not the fact, this is the fact. And it's too easy to believe. It's just too easy to believe, because you're right, like it's a rabbit hole. And also, like, speaking to, what it is, I think the reason why a lot of us are becoming really radicalized, because to a certain extent, I think all of us are. I mean, I can speak for myself in this particular situation, but I know I'm really pushing left. Like I'm really pushing left. And I think the right is really pushing right. And everybody is now sitting on these extreme radicalized, like opposing spectrums. And you know what happens, like that spectrum is eventually going to like broaden and expand, where those people sitting on the extreme radicalization are in fact going to become centralists, and that like in their little left and right, and then right and left will just keep being pushed further and further away. Like that's what happens. That's how like political
until
value,
the war starts.
that's how
Until
war starts. Yeah, it's true, it's very true. So it's just interesting that social media like kind of, you know, broadens, or not really broadens, but like it increases the rate at like a crazy like rapid rate. Like it's fast, it's quick. The way our minds and brains are gonna click an image and a photo compared to sitting in a class learning something or reading a book, like, do you know what I mean? Like that clicking happens way quicker, so they're using it to their advantage. And yeah, it's kind of scary, to
Yeah,
be honest. It is
yeah.
really scary.
What I was thinking is, right, like it's funny because we kind of create our own downfall, like in a way, is because in social media, like you basically get to like make a customized rule where you only see what you like. If you don't like what you see, like you could like block it, you could mute it, you don't have to see it. And like we have just like literally surrounded ourselves just with what we like, what we agree with, like what it is, like, like almost like put in like a mental bubble, like creating a perfect version of the world where it's only stuff that you like and you don't have to see or interact with anything that you disagree with.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that is like kind of forcing us into these labels, and we have to say like, okay, you like this, so you have to be on this side. You know, you
Yeah.
like these things, so you have to be on that side. And there's like no space to like, I don't know, to like gel or like, like intermingle or any kind of thing, and it's like just like, okay, you fit this rigid like label, so you're on that side. You fit the other one, so you're on the next side. And like, I don't know, the thing about facts that I've started recently, like realizing recently, is like people can use facts to explain whatever you like. Literally any day, all you need to know is what agenda you have, like what it is you're trying to prove, and then you can use facts however you want to fill
What?
in the blanks.
Yeah.
People would literally like take like you could find so many contradicting facts for the same thing, for the
Yeah.
exact same thing, and like I don't know, I just thought about that recently. Like it's kind of crazy because imagine you could take two two people, right, from the same study or whatever, same profession, and you ask them a theory or like I don't know, to give an explanation or something like that, and they will tell you two completely different things. Although they technically have the same job, the same title. So I don't know. I feel like what are even facts then, if you could just
Yeah.
like use them to however, like whatever
Mm.
data you want to present or whatever agenda you're trying to present. So I don't know. I just thought it brought some philosophical questions.
Yeah, I totally see that. What I don't think the problem is two people interpreting facts differently. I think the problem is two people interpreting facts differently and then not being willing to listen to the other side, which is what social media does. Like Akil said, you can like block off, disagree, don't need to see it, don't like you, don't need to see it. Like, it's too easy to just create your perfect reality. So yeah.
And
What really like triggered me in the beginning? There were a couple of quotes that triggered me and I wrote all of them down. I was like, fuck, you're right. This is what? Like, yeah, the first one was the fact that they were saying, oh, if you're not paying for the product, you are the product. And I was like, yes. Like, oh my God,
Oh,
yes.
that
Um,
is balls.
what did you say?
So that's balls.
It is this crazy. Like, if you're not paying for the product, you are the product. And I'm like, oh my God, think about all the things in my life that are free for me. Think about, no, like, this is not okay. So it really made me question what I interact with. And I thought that was really, I don't know.
see, the thing is also it's like when you look at creating your own reality, that's the truth. And the other problem with creating your own reality is you're creating that person that you claim to be as well.
Mm-hmm.
99% of us are not the same person we are on social media. You go through my Instagram account, you won't actually know anything properly about me. Do you know what I mean? If
Yeah.
you take me personally as a person, like I post a lot of things, but it's like a very small perspective, very small like percentage of what I actually am. It's
Yeah.
in here, whereas the actual over here. And a lot of people are like that. And I think a lot of people, when they create their own reality and they're putting out things and they're creating their own page that gives them only the stuff that kind of just compounds what they believe in, they're also taking things about themselves that they don't like and trying to hide it away. And see,
Mm-hmm.
that's fine on social media because who's going to know better? But social media isn't life. That same person then has to go out and interact with people in real life, in a real spectrum, not in the public space of their laptop or their phone screen. And suddenly now you can't hide those negative aspects that you've been hiding away. Suddenly you can't hide that casual racism you throw in like when you're talking to your friends, or the slight colorism you have, or whatever it is. Like there's a lot of stuff that people try and hide away, and that's fine until you actually go and talk to another person face to face. And I think we've lost a lot of the skills and social skills we require to talk to people as well, which is the other problem. Is when you come across someone that you don't agree with, suddenly you don't know how to talk to them. The first thing that happens is an argument. Like what happened to negotiation? Why has that become a skill rather than something that no people used to like? Back in the days, in the medieval times, people used to barter for everything. There was no real money. You had something, you wanted something. How are we going to deal with this? If you get angry with the first like thing that someone says to you, you are going to starve, man. Like if someone says, yeah, I don't like your cow, but I'll give you like and you're pissed off. That's it, son. Like that guy's gonna tell everyone else, "Yo, don't fuck with that guy. He's a shit farmer. He's a shit butler. Like, leave him out of it." So like, where did we lose track? You know, somewhere along the line, we just everything cut off, and that's the crazy thing, man. Like, it's intense. Like that, the whole documentary like puts a lot of things into perspective as well. Like, I don't know if you guys have read this book called *Sapiens*.
Yes. Oh
It's
my God,
by
I literally have it right in front of me. Yes. And I've talked to Akil about this so many times. But anyway, go on.
Tell
that
them
book
about the
is
book.
amazing.
Who's the by?
Changed my
Yuval
it's a guy
Harari.
called Yuval Harari, yeah. And he's written two other
Really?
books. So I read the second one as well, Homo Deus, which is Where
Yeah.
We're Going.
Yeah.
Like I bought the third one, I haven't started it yet. But he talks about a lot of interesting things that like then when you listen to other people who are like in the industry, they talk about the same thing. So it's not just some historian, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
he says we're already like halfway into the evolution between man and like machine. Like the symbiosis has begun.
Mm-hmm.
Where and the same thing was said by Elon Musk as well. He said, you know what? We're basically cyborgs. Where do you go where you don't have an electronic piece of equipment on you? It's not inside you, but it's technically an extension of you. Most people walk around with their phone in their hand, not even in their
Damn.
pocket. Like that
Damn.
shit
Oh my God.
in your
Wait,
hand,
hold
you
on,
know?
hold on,
We don't
hold
even
on,
need
hold
to
on.
put things into our body anymore. It's just a matter of like the smart glasses are there. Now most of us we have wireless earbuds as well.
Yep.
So you're walking on, you got shit in your ear, you got this thing in your hand, and you're completely oblivious to what's going on around you. 99% of the time you're blocking out the sound as well. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
you're walking down looking at this thing. The only time you look up is to make sure you cross the road properly. Even that sometimes you don't
You
do.
don't. Exactly.
We're part cyborg already. We just don't realize it yet. It's only there's gonna come a point now where someone's gonna come up with a new iPhone or a new Samsung, which is an injection, and then you do this and it pops up, and everyone's gonna jump at it like, oh, perfect. I don't need a physical thing.
To carry
And
anything.
then like your stuff, like think about the little things, like how much of our life is controlled by a machine, not even something we own, but just a machine. I remember when I was flying out one time, like a year or two ago in South Africa, air traffic control was down. And because air traffic control was down, they had no clue of the manual log of flights. And so we were an hour and a half behind on departure. We had to figure out who flies in what way because they just left it to the computers for so long. They didn't give a fuck about the manual like work. Like
Damn.
it's all like you know this whole concept of aliens, right? You know, like I'm going off topic a bit, but it's like it goes back into evolution. Like what are they? Like 3 4 foot people with tiny arms and tiny legs and a big head.
Yeah.
Look at man now and man 100 or 200 years ago. We're going that way. Our heads are getting bigger, our bodies are getting smaller, we're getting weaker but more intelligent
Yeah.
because we're relying on other things. We're not relying on our bodies anymore.
Yeah.
You know, we're relying on machines to do work for us or animals to do work for us. We don't have we learned how to be clever, but in that process we lost something physically. You know, everything is give and take, right? So in order to get that extra bit of I don't know, like intelligence, maybe we had to give up a little bit of our physical like prowess.
For
But
sure.
we're all moving towards that point now where technology runs things and we allow it to run things because things are smooth. But clearly things are not that smooth because the clockwork has all kinds of bullshit like forcing it to move, you know, like and this documentary only shows that even further that none of these things that you're on, none of these sites you're on are actually looking out for you. What? Oh my God, Facebook told me it's fake news. They actually care. No, they don't. They give a shit. Actually on your site, and how much of it is actually blocked? You know, like come on, bro. Let's.
Yeah.
It, yeah, it's a scary world we're living in, and we're probably the last generation that'll remember a world before it.
True.
But
Wow, that's true. That's
Yeah.
crazy. You can look out for real. I like how you said we're basically cyborgs. Like it actually is a crazy thing to think about. Like it's not inside of us yet, but it's like everywhere we go. Like like
basically,
everything is controlled by it. So that's wild. Another thing I was thinking about like is crazy is like social media has like made it easiest for like to connect to people like all around the world, but in that same sense, like we have started like using technology to like isolate ourselves and like, have to deal with people like less
yeah,
and less on a actual like, physical face-to-face basis. And I don't know, it's like getting it to me is like wild because like I'm sure like the average person as like most younger people like would not like approach random people in public, like like we kind of like have become scared of ourselves kind of thing, like, but yet we're so connected at the same time. Is like a very strange thing to look at,
Hmm.
Yeah, it is. It
like
really is.
even they were saying in the documentary that like since the popularization of social media and all that, like social anxiety in like young kids and like all these stuff have increased,
Hmm.
which is like but wait, this is supposed to make it easier for us to be connected, but yet people are finding it harder and becoming more anxious about being around other people. So I don't
Yeah.
know. It's crazy. It's like, do you think is an overall positive thing for us as a society or not?
It's a it's a tricky question that you see because I think it's done a lot of positives, right? As in with everything, you have to look at it in both ways, right? And like the number of positive things it's done by connecting people around the world and giving, like, for example, like during this pandemic, so many families were like broken apart and not able to see each other for a while. And technology is the only reason why most of them were like able to see, like, chill together, and be able to talk with each other and keep in contact regularly without actually losing their mind. Like my mom's dad is quite old and he was already a bit ill, and then he had like a bit of a stroke, and because of the travel restrictions she couldn't go back, but she was able to see him whenever she wanted. Like she could call my grandmother or like one of her sisters, and like they're able to show him and he can talk to her, whatever. And that wouldn't have been possible 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Do you know what I mean? But at the same time, the number of issues that it's brought on socially is also, it's ridiculous, and it can't be, you can't like disregard it at all, because like you said, with the whole social anxiety thing. So one of my modules last year, in my final year, was a project about social media where we're looking at it, and you had to then do a personal social media project where you look at your own social media use and you can decide what you want to do. Like your question was up to you, but it had to be like personally done, so with research. And so with me, I wanted to see how much time I use. So I split it into 2 months. And the first month, I just used my like social media like I did normally, and then I counted how long I did it. After a month, like on average, how much time did I spend? What was I doing? What was productive in the time that I was on social media? Did I make anything? Did I create anything? Or was I just scrolling for no reason? And then the second half of it was trying to understand, like trying to cut down, because I realized like I was on it for like 3 4 hours on average a day. And what am I doing? Of those 3 hours every day or 4 hours every day, I maybe posted 12 posts in a month. So that's not even a post every 2 days. So I mean, like, what am I actually doing with my time there? And like, surely I could be doing something more productive. But one of my friends, her project was actually on herself and how it made her feel, and she deleted all her social media, and she said she felt so free because she felt as if she didn't have to prove anything to anyone. She didn't open up her feed and see people, with expensive shoes and doing expensive things, and didn't make her feel inadequate, didn't make her feel like she needed to do something and put it on social media to show people that she's doing it.
Mm.
And I think it's crazy. Like you get to that point then when suddenly you go from it being a good little tool to connecting with people and showing people what you're getting up to then going, Phew, everyone's life is better than mine. I need to prove to people that my life is better than theirs. But in that process, you lose yourself and you lose your happiness, and then it's a rabbit hole, and then you just get deeper and deeper and deeper until it's an actual problem. So it's strange. It's a very strange dilemma to actually think about. A social dilemma is a very good way to actually like describe it, I think.
Describe it. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. I think it's really interesting that, like, this is the thing, right? Like, as humans, like, psychologically, our weakness or vulnerability is this need for, because we're communal beings, and it's because we're communal beings, but it's this need for approval and this need for connection and appreciation and attention. That's what it is. And you can now get that attention from somebody without even physically being in front of them. And that is something that has taken over um, our minds, and that like little vulnerability, like that's what social media has just monetized and like
Mhm.
binged on, and they've realized that, okay, this is a psychological hack, basically, and this is how we can hack humans into losing in touch with each other. And but at the same time, we're not conscious of it. Or are we conscious of it and we're willfully ignoring it? That's the second question, you know? And they talk a lot about willful ignorance in this, and I really like it, because I like recently in law, like this is all we've been doing, like just the willful knowledge of having something, but pretending like you don't have it, but then foreseeing circumstances to the action, but pretend knowing knowing what's going to happen, but then ignoring how you can contribute to not make that happen. That's willful ignorance, you know? And I think that's what's happening here. I think everybody knows to a certain extent. They can they will be a point in everybody's life where they realize, oh shit, actually, like I haven't put down my phone all day, or I haven't, you know, I've like stared at my screen all day. Your eyes hurt, your, you know, your like your back hurts, your posture hurts. There are things that your body does to remind you to be like, yo, cut it off, it's not like, it's not okay. Like it's, you're binging the extent that your body can take this kind of technological use as well. But we like willfully ignore it. We work through it. We work through the pain, and it's easy to just put it aside because it's a rabbit hole at the end of the day. Like once you're in to like gain that attention, to call yourself out, it's a lot more. Like they basically programmed an unconscious habit. Like that's what they did. And for me, that's like, how did we let that happen? Or now that we've let that happen, how do we break apart from it? How do we let everybody know? Because the generations that really are affected the most are the generations that grew up in those so-called Western world, like the hub of technological production and advancement, and also the people that, you know, are coming in generations below us, because phones are so much more accessible. You know how much money it makes to make one phone in China? Or like in Taiwan, it's so cheap. Like you walk into China, like Taiwan's not that bad, like when you go into other cities, but you walk into China, from the moment people are walking around, no one's looking up. Everybody's on their phones. In subways, no one's looking up. Like you can leave a phone in China. My dad left his phone on a subway and found it. Found it 6 hours later. You cannot do that in certain parts of the countries of the world, to the extent where technology is so cheap. Technology is so cheap. It's so readily accessible. Like everybody, and it's the cool thing to do. And we've come to a thing where people are not questioning whether the cool thing to do is the right thing to do. And that's where the problem originates, I think, because we've just, I don't know, it's kind of sad to see, like, and I mean, I think I'm a hypocrite to saying this, because I know consciously, like, especially since the pandemic, my social media usage has probably doubled 100% regardless. And everything's online for me. I have to stay online. I have to, okay, let's pause for a moment.
Yeah, let's pause for a second, please.
Yeah, so as I was saying, how do we how do we explain this to the generations below? Because I feel like the generations that are most affected by this entire social media, social dilemma, are the generations that, one, have grown up, in my opinion, like the West, kind of have been influenced a lot by Western civilization, but have also like grown up in these like technological hubs of advancement. And yeah, and basically they're the most affected, and they are the generations that cannot like get out of this dystopia almost, you know. And it's hard, it's interesting, I don't know, I think it's crazy. Did you guys watch Bird Box, by the way?
I haven't seen it actually.
Bird Box is for the eyes, where they have to cover their eyes.
Yeah, where they all have to cover their eyes.
It was trash, in my opinion. I thought that movie was trash.
Okay, we'll talk about this later. I'm kind of offended that someone's going hard on Sandra Bullock.
I thought it was overrated, bro. Everyone was like going like, "Oh yeah," it's like, please. Anyway, anyway, like what I wanted to say was that, do you guys think that because like technology and like social media has made like the world so interconnected, and like everything is a touch of like a fingertip away, that we, because of this, like we ignore like these social problems it's having in terms of kids, like younger kids having more anxiety, more depression, more like body dysmorphia. Like, there's some people I know that literally would not take a picture without a filter on it,
Yeah,
and and I thought that was scary. I'd be like, why do you need a filter? Like your phone is making you feel like you
you're not good.
inadequate, like with your own face
Yeah.
that wanna touch it up in these small ways. I don't know, like why do we ignore like all these social effects that this like increased use of social media is having, and is making us feel like everything is much more connected, and you know but we're seeing that is making people become more extreme, and like they're basically having two sides now. Is reaching a point where like people either have to believe like strictly in one thing or like strictly in another, and like there's no such thing as like being a centrist, or like you know um seeing the gray area between like that space that kind of been removed. So I don't
Mhm.
know why you think we ignore it.
Why? Because it creates this picture perfect world. Like, if I can create a world where I am absolutely perfect and I have no blemishes, and like it's choosing to believe in the reality that you want, and it's choosing to believe in only your reality. Like we touched on this earlier on. I think that's what it is. You're able to just color in the spots that haven't been colored. You're able to only listen to what you want to listen to. Only like you're there's no fun preaching to the choir, but you are preaching to yourself. What you see is what you want to believe. So you
But
only what you want to believe.
I have a question to that though. What would you say if someone was like, so what's wrong with me just surrounding myself with stuff that I like? Like, why do I have to see stuff I don't want to see on my phone?
No, that's fine, right? Like for me, that's fine. You want to create your little safe little bubble, and where what you believe is what you believe, and and you want to create a bubble where you forever look perfect and whatever manifestation. No, 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 you can believe. I'm fine with that. The problem that social dilemma comes that highlights is the lack of ability to listen to the other side. So now you're only surrounded by yourself. You're only surrounded by what you want to see, what you want to believe. That's all you see, and then you're ignoring that's what it is. You're ignoring, you're making the other side and the any other perspective and any other option of existence other than what you've deemed right and what you've accepted. You've basically blocked everything out, and you're refusing to listen. The refusal and the ignorance is where the problem comes. That's what I think. So it's for me, it's okay. You want to create a picture perfect world, create your picture perfect world. That's fine. But
That's what I'm. Sorry, I was just gonna say I wanted to push you a little bit more and ask you one more thing about that.
okay, go.
Finish what you're gonna say though. Finish what you're gonna say.
No, no, ask. I feel like I'm just talking.
I don't know. So what if, like, because I've heard people like, say this argument. Not saying I agree with it, but people be like, no, like what the other side has to say, like we can't even tolerate that view because like in that way we'd be like I don't know, in some ways justifying it, or like letting that narrative be spread, but that narrative is like so dangerous that it should not, like it doesn't deserve the right to be spread. Like what would you say to someone like that? Like free speech, or
Yeah,
I don't know.
now you're binging on philosophy. Free speech versus what? Freedom of speech. Like,
No,
um,
I'm asking like what would you say if someone says you like they don't want to hear the other side because they believe like it's dangerous.
and a bit. I think I've come to a point where, and this is where part of my problem in myself lies. Is I will say, fine, if that's how you want to believe it. But should we leave those people alone? Should we leave those people alone is the question. Like, I know I personally will sit down and take the time to explain, or like to talk, or like just to converse and listen to somebody who I completely disagree with, but I will sit there and be like, okay, fine, it's your opinion and I'll take it. That's me. And your question is, should we even let that opinion exist if it's not the opinion that benefits and is inclusive of everybody, right?
Not more than that is like if I'm a person that like there's an opinion that exists that I don't care for, and like I don't see any value in it, then I deserve the right to say that like, basically like invalidated. Like, I don't need to hear that. Like, I don't even need to consider that option.
Mm.
I guess that's okay when you're looking at it as individual things, right? But then there'll come a point where if you are a person like that, for example, where you know like look, like you say as well, there's certain things where you shouldn't even like let that person say their thing because you
Mm.
know it's bullshit. Flat Earth, we know, right? Like there's no reason, but at the same time, like there's times where like that might add up, and then one day you don't want to listen to another person's opinion about something else, which may be almost similar and almost as crazy, but not so much. And like it may change. The problem with not allowing a voice at all is there comes a point where like you just have to think like, who are you to if that's the case, there are going to be people like that towards you as well, right? And look, if I'm looking at it personally, I'm the same. I don't really care that much. I've gotten to a point in my life where fuck it is the basic motto. It is what it is. And if you don't want to learn, if you don't want to grow as a person, then that's on you. Because I like learning, I like growing. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
So personally, if it comes to that and I get to a person who's so stubborn they don't even want to like accommodate the thought, that's on you, man. Like you're gonna come across someone that's gonna teach you. It's not me. I'm not that man. Like allow me access to just move on. But the thing is, I think when people decide to not even allow them to to just make a point, then you're playing with a dangerous game of when will that come up again, because there's gonna be another because if you do it once, it's like anything, right? If you do it once, you give yourself the allowance to say, well, I've done it once, I can do it again, no matter how good or how bad it is. It doesn't really matter at that point. But like if you do it once, you'll do it again. And it may come to the point where someone is trying to tell you something that may be controversial. See, if you might be like a Christian person and someone comes to you talk to you about abortion, and you believe strongly about abortion in one way, I'm not going to say which way, and the other person believes in the other way, and you decide, you know what, I don't even like this person, doesn't have any valid points, like fuck it, you're blocked in my mind. Now you're not even allowing discussion for a serious topic.
Mm.
One that look, personally as a guy, I feel like I shouldn't have any real input on at all unless it's my kid. And even then, like, hey, look, if she wants to keep it and I don't, like, that's on me. Like, I should have learned my lesson. Like, what the fuck am I doing, right? But that's for another day, another time. But like, there comes a point when you start censoring people in your own mind where a controversial topic might come up, and depending on the person you are, right? And I'm not saying this is you, but I'm saying like a person might go down that route of saying, I don't want to listen to this. This is nonsense. Because there are people that take perfectly valid arguments and call it nonsense, right? And if people are doing that, you're capable of then saying, I don't want to listen to this person. And now you've caused like a blockade in your learning curve.
Yeah.
I think everybody has a path they're supposed to follow, but some people veer off path. Some people find that again. Some people just block and sit down and build a house in on the road and they don't move. And it's like everyone has their individual journeys, and it's crazy because a lot more people are now becoming stubborn because again they're surrounding themselves only with the things they want to hear. And sometimes you've got to hear the things you don't want to hear in order to read. Like no one wants to hear about children being kidnapped and trafficked, and no one wants to hear about the number of like gender-based violence cases or like rape cases, or no one really wants to hear about it. But you need to know, because you need to be safe. You need to keep your loved ones safe. You need to know if you hear something that or like you think something is suspicious, you need to be able to like tell people, because if you don't know there's like a fucking serial killer around and your friend is acting suspicious, you're not gonna think twice of it. You're gonna be like, this guy's just weird. What's wrong with you? But so you need to have like you need to have awareness, and if you just block yourself, you're like, fuck, I'm not gonna listen to the news is bullshit. You don't know that your housemate is killing people in the basement and like and, oh, this guy's just weird, he prefers the basement to his room. Okay.
It's true. Awareness is important.
That's just it. Like everyone is, at the end of the day, everyone is allowed to think what they want to think and do what they want to do, say what they want to say. Obviously, in its like legal matches and shit. But like at the end of the day, if you're the kind of person that doesn't want to listen to people and stuff, that's fine. That's on you as an individual. It's everything. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction, whether it's physically or emotionally or metaphysically. That shit, it's gonna come back and whack you, man.
Yeah.
Like there's there has to be a reason so many different cultures and like fucking science laws all say the same thing. Surely, again, like there has to be some link to it. So if you decide not to learn, that's on you. That's on you as a person. But it'll come back one day, and you're gonna be like, fuck. Because every bad decision we've made, in my case for sure, it's come back, and I've looked at it and I've thought, oh my god, it's made me a lot better as a person. But fuck me, I wish I wouldn't have to go through that, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's strange. I think everyone just has to go through their own learning curves, and you will find people, like you said, that are just going to be perfectly willing to cut down a logical argument and say, nah, I don't. Mm-mm. And it's up to you whether you want to be the warrior and like fight for your cause, or
Mhm.
just inhale some fuck it and walk on. You know,
Yeah.
like some people.
Okay, pause. Go.
We back. All right, so
Yeah,
me,
yeah.
okay. I was gonna ask, so yeah, the question I had to ask you was like, what has been like your personal experience like with social media? Like, do you feel like it has had like effects on your mental health and stuff like that, or has it been like positive for you?
So for me, so okay, I'm gonna try and outline how my social media use started. I was on Facebook in 2008. That's my
Like,
earliest memory of joining the social media. Facebook 2008. I was like 11, 12 years old. I lied and said I was born in 1989 because you had to be 18 by 1989. That was born it was fucking hard, man. And I still remember like 2 years into my Facebook thing, I like what they'd already changed it, but I forgot to change my year. And my one of my aunts commented, "Why was your birthday in 1989?" They're like, "Oh, great, that's good shit." I like that was when all your relatives were on Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my first, like social media, and then I think I started a Twitter account as well. Didn't really use it. I still don't really use Twitter. And then Instagram came in after that. Snapchat I don't really use, but I don't know. Like in terms of my use, I think I learned pretty quickly that likes mean like nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I think Varsha will understand this when I say this as well. But like growing up in a place like Botswana, it's really small, so it's like very easy to see the rise and fall of Facebook celebrities.
Yeah.
Like it's very easy to use, like very easy. Like you'll see like people get likes and you'll be like, who's this person? And within a couple of weeks you'll know who this person is because everyone's sharing their
Everybody
posts.
knows each other.
And then like within a few like months, this person somehow is like fallen off the radar, and like there's a new cool person in town. You know, that's just how this shit works.
Yeah.
So I think it was. I looked at that and I was like, I'm not gonna be sucked into this. You know, like if people don't like my shit, that's cool. I'm sharing it because I want an archive of things so that at some point down the line, like if I've lost the device or something, I can still log into like an account. Be like, I remember I posted this shit and like find it. That's pretty much what my Facebook and my Instagram is for as well. Like
Yeah.
I I think the other thing is like we have a lot of friends who've gone a lot of places around the world, and like a lot of them were really close to us, and
Yeah.
we've moved away obviously. So like we've left friends behind, and like all of that shit complies. So like you've got a bunch of followers who are all from different places, and you do want to like share how your life is going because I'm not the person I was like fucking 10 years ago. I'm not even the person I was like 4 years ago, I think. You know what I mean? So like you obviously want to I think I'd like to document that, and if not for anyone else, but for me, because like I look back on things sometimes and I cringe, but then I'm like, yeah, you know, this is a memory that I would have lost with devices, with time, with fucking whatever it is, you know. So for me personally, social media, I don't think it's caused any issues. I think I was on top of it pretty well, and I think my interest in my subject, obviously in like media and all that as well, made me want read things that I don't know, allowed me to look into it differently from an earlier age, so that again, like I was aware of the repercussions of most of the things I did. But yeah, I think I dealt with it well. I don't think I had any issues with it, and I don't think I will have any issues with it. Like I don't do things for likes. I've never done things for other people. I've
Yeah.
never been that guy. Do you know what I mean? Like where, I mean, I do things for people that I obviously that I love and cherish, but I've never done things for other people to appreciate me doing it.
Mhm.
If I can do something silently and it actually has an effect, I'd much rather do that. Do you know what I mean? I'd rather not get any plaudits for something and just get things done. So like having an account on social media for me was just a documentation of my life. Like this is how I've been going, and I don't know. At some point in the line, I'm gonna look at it and laugh and shit. So it's never caused any issues for me. But at the same time, it's very easy for me to see how someone can get drawn into it and it can cause them actual mental anguish.
Mhm.
And like we only really started recognizing mental illness as a proper serious issue over the last 3 years, maybe. Like, I mean, how many times did people tell you, "Oh, are you depressed? Just get better, smile. You'll feel better." Like, how often did people hear that, right? So
Yeah.
we're now realizing that like mental illness is such a like massive spider's web of things, and anything can trigger anything, and it's like you know what I mean. It's a very volatile situation.
Mhm.
So social media is like a very root cause of it as well.
Yeah.
And I think now more than ever, it's become an outlet for people. And the same way, it's also become a way for people to get drawn into things that cause them real mental instability and issues. That
True.
it's crazy. It's a very like complex situation. But at the same time, you can't just say shut it all down. Like,
Can
what
you?
happens then? What do we all do?
For me, I liked how they ended the documentary because they talked about regulation, and naturally being like someone from like a very legal perspective with what I study, like I can easily see like how regulation and how like there's no legislature that can actually regulate social media right now. We don't have any legal law that regulates how people make money off of social media. The only way good turns into bad, in my opinion, when you commercialize and when you can profit off of it, and that profit is for self gain and not communal gain. That's when I really see the good turning into the bad, positive into negative, if you really want to put labels on it. Like that's what I see when the spectrum really shifts and it's attacking the creators themselves. And right now there's no regulation. Like you need a healthy dosage, and no one's specifying what that healthy dosage is, and we don't have a framework that's um putting sort of boundaries on how people can use social media, or get the users. Also the term users, I love that they mentioned the only industries in the world that use the term users are the illegal drug industry and what was the other one?
Social media, technology, or something.
Hold on, I wrote
Software
it
industry.
down.
That was
um
crazy. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and software. Yeah, thanks, Sid. And software, exactly. And that for me, like you're kidding, that correlation, I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
I just want to segue quickly here. Like when I was writing one of my things, there's actually like a term for us people that use technology and social media. Exactly, it's a hybrid of a producer and a user. So it's a prod user basically,
A prod.
because we produce content. Because without us, social media is nothing. If today 2 billion people decide to fuck off Facebook, it's nothing. Facebook is nothing without
Nothing.
content, right? Facebook itself as a company produce nothing. They produce a platform.
Yep.
Everything else that on it is us, created by us, by the users. We're producing and then using that. We're sending it out. We're like sharing memes, this, that, the other, right? We are both the simultaneously it is like our product, but it is also some like a service to us. Because like if you take the people out of it, it's nothing. If you take the people out of Instagram, it's nothing. Like what social media like site would thrive without anyone on it? None.
None.
You need to have
Yeah.
people on it. You don't need, you could be the only user on Instagram. Do you know what I mean? Like
True.
the only guy that posts pictures and everyone would follow you. And all you would do would be posting pictures of your floor every day. It's the same bit of floor. But if no one else is creating any content, but
True.
there's 15,000
Very
people that see something, who are they going to see? Floor man.
true.
So man,
It's
facts.
the
Like
simultaneous creation of a utopia and a dystopia. And where's the
you have
balance?
the product and the user.
Yeah.
That's wild, yeah. But
That's
Vasha, what was your experience with social media?
my experience with social media. I think I like I again I think my social media entrance really began with Facebook. And right now I think my most used apps are probably Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Those three, all owned by the same company. I guess I'm just loyal. And then I was
But
actually telling Akil about this the other day. Think about it, right? Facebook, I cannot. Facebook is such a waste of fucking space on my phone. First, you need a
It's
Facebook app just to go through your news feed, and then your Messenger. Same
Messenger.
application, but different, like same product, different application. Then Messenger. Then if you want to manage your events, there's an event app.
Hey,
Get download. Then you want to
and
manage your pages, there's a page app. Download. What
there's
else
one
am
for
I
groups
left
too.
with? Huh?
There's one for groups too.
Yep,
For group?
exactly. Download.
Yeah.
Instagram. Same company. I download. Then on top of that, while my laptop is on low battery, um,
uh,
ironic. Anyway, and then on top of that, you literally put all of this. Instagram, you download like maybe a boomerang app for Instagram. You download an app to
yeah,
monitor your followers. You like WhatsApp. There's one company taking up nine storage spaces on your phone, and you're like, why do they want us to just consistently like, because we are consistently going to be the producer, like we are
yeah,
the prod
you have
user,
to. You
Yeah.
have to. It's an ecosystem, and without you, they don't thrive.
they don't.
You need to that content, whatever shit it is. It doesn't matter what it is. It just needs to be something they can share. You
True,
know?
exactly. And you've got all these, like, even with music nowadays, Spotify, like, and I only recognize this like as I'm moving, like me and Akila moving into this like podcast sphere. So like we walk in and I'm like, okay, so I have Spotify, and then there's like, you trying to download Anchor, already takes you to 5 other platforms. Use Wave is connected to Spotify, like, and then there's another like tree link connects to all 4. Like, it's crazy. And it's like, okay, like I'm wasting so much space for something I could just use on one app or like on one particular platform. But like, they're not just wasting space on your phone, they're wasting space on your mind, and they're wasting space on your brain, and they're taking up all this space. And now it's like, there's not enough space for the things that actually genuinely matter and build growth and stimulate intellectual thinking and yeah.
Let me ask you a weird question. I'll ask both of you this weird question. When you guys started this, obviously you were very excited about starting the podcast, right? Like it was something that you gave a bit of thought, and like it was something that like you brewed together, and finally when you did the first one, it was an exciting thing.
Yes.
You dream about doing a podcast, like something visual about the podcast that night or the night before or somewhere around that time? Did you actually visualize it at any point? Like, did you get to a point where you did it and you were like, you could see it? Because the only reason I'm asking, right, is because sometimes when I play a video game, like
Yeah.
if I start it, I tend to get into it. Like if I go home over the summer, like every time I go home for 2 months, 3 months, I'll buy a single player video game because my brother's a piece of shit. He doesn't play with me. So I buy a single player video game and I play it. So Spider-Man, whatever. Every time I get into a game, after about a week or so of playing it, and maybe this is also because I do take intoxicating substances sometimes, so my mind is normal. But I dream of that shit. I dream of it in the way like I wake up sometimes and I'm like, yo, I can't wait to play it. Like
Yeah.
I'm to play this game that I've been playing for the last 3 weeks.
It's
I'm not,
taken space. Yeah.
it's taking up space. It's the same with shit like with likes. You know what I mean? Like I can understand because when I started my like the podcast initially was like a little thing, and then I did 3 more episodes, and I got like positive reception from the people. I didn't put it up on many places. I just put it up on a few different places,
Yeah.
and I got positive reception from people to the point where then I started dreaming about like, oh, I'm gonna wake up and so, like Joe Rogan is gonna have heard my podcast and he's gonna be like, dude, I don't know shit about football, but you are the guy. And I'm like, these are bullshit dreams. I shouldn't be having them anyway. But I wake up like in excitement sometimes. It's like when you wake up thinking you ordered a pair of shoes.
Yeah.
Have you ever woken up and think they're at your like like door and you open it like, yeah, I got this. Like it's the same. It takes up so much thought. And the downside of it, obviously, is you wake up, you're disappointed and stuff. But now you're back on that app. You're trying to do things with it. Like you're like,
Yeah.
okay, well, if I in my dreams, I'm gonna like push through. And yeah, that can be good because obviously you do need some sort of like motivation to do your thing. But at the same time, you also need to like you can't spend 4 hours a day on your phone. I was spending 4 hours a day only on those social media apps. That's all I was tracking. I wasn't even tracking other things that I was doing. There,
Mhm.
there were other things. I don't have data when I go home. I
Yeah,
purposely,
same. I know the struggle, same. So it's easy.
yeah, I
Yeah.
decide, okay, I'm not gonna like here. I have ridiculous data. My Wi-Fi just goes down for 2 seconds. I'm on it, right?
Mm.
Home, I don't do it, and I've made it like a thing where I just don't pay for it. This time it was difficult because I was home for 8 months, so
Yeah.
I had a lot of running around to do and no data connection on my phone. But at the same time, I did more like productive stuff with my time. If I
Yeah.
was waiting for my brother to finish something I was reading, if I had time, I'd go to gym in that time. You know what I mean? I'd make sure I run all my errands. I did basically all the errands for my parents. Like if they needed to go to do something and they didn't need to physically be there to do that, I would be the one doing it. Like
Mhm.
that was it. Like
Mhm.
I was, so I think I drove. I'm not gonna like bullshit you guys. I think I drove close to about like close to 10,000 kilometers this time while I was home,
Oh my
just to
Wow.
the
God.
city. I didn't go anywhere. I didn't go anywhere. I was just doing shit. But I was productive. Whereas if I'm here and I'm waiting for a bus and I've got an hour and a half, instead of going and taking a walk somewhere, I'm sitting on my phone because I've got data and I can scroll through and just look at
Just
bullshit.
like be lost in that
Yeah.
world. Yeah.
If someone invented an app that would tell you how many kilometers you scroll with your thumbs, would you download it?
That's
Probably.
kind of cool.
Probably.
That's
I think I would actually, because I'd
Good.
be curious
But then
to know.
you not get scared by the constant notifications of it telling you you've hit 5 kilometers.
Yeah,
Because you know how much a kilometer is.
exactly.
Yeah.
And you know what? And that would in fact incentivize me to use it more, to see how far my marathon can run on my thumb. You know what I mean? So
Now it could work the other way. For me, I would think instead of that 5 kilometers on my thumbs, if I did 5 kilometers with my legs, I would be fucking athletic right now. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
true. It
So
could hit the other way. But that's the thing, right? Positive reinforcement, which way does it swing? And depending on which direction it's trying to hit, you know? Like for an app like that maybe that was created to tell people to stop using social media so they become conscious of how much they're actually scrolling, they then all of a sudden that's you're by giving them like, oh, 10 kilometers, anybody who sees a rise in number thinks of it as a positive note, you know, and immediately like the connotation is usually positive, and then immediately you get incentivized to think these are goals and you can actually go with it. And that's exactly what they've done with the like system and the like button when you think about it. So
Yeah.
it's positive reinforcement that's gone on an extreme. Like the person who created the like button was like, yeah, we started it because we wanted to spread positivity and love. And I was like, look where it is now. Like, look where it is
what
now.
happened when they made the like button was people are like, okay, so where's the dislike button?
Yes.
So
So
fucked
they
Yeah.
up.
Facts.
missed it.
Not even
Yeah.
that you fucked up. You know, yeah, it took you 10 years to actually give us an angry emote, but it's not the same. Where the fuck is the dislike button? Just give it to us, the people
Just
we
give
have.
it to us. Yeah,
I think
exactly.
So,
that's also to
yeah.
sorry, I was gonna say I feel like they also didn't have a dislike button because social media is supposed to be like this perfect world. So they to like uphold that imagery of like, like everyone presenting the best version of themselves and like, like
Uh,
everything being so amazing. Like that's why they would have a like button and not a dislike button, I guess.
true, true, very true.
Yeah.
But okay, coming back to, but I'll tell you this, after Facebook, like my major users are Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp because I consistently, it's like my family network. So if I'm not on it, I'm not speaking to my family, you know. And then Facebook has become kind of like my political platform where I share a lot of stuff that I read, that I like, that I want to promote other people for. And my Instagram, I know this privatization doesn't exist. Privacy is a lost concept with social media, but my Instagram is private. So like it's capped on who the people that are following me and that I'm following are genuine people that I want to know what's happening in their life. And you know, like sometimes I think maybe the reason why like I can pick up a phone and just speak to a random person that I haven't spoken to in 10 years maybe, and it feels the same, maybe because yeah, we're on the same wavelength, but also because maybe you've unconsciously been a part of each other's lives, you know, whether it was a comment or a like or sending them something, and unconsciously you just join a pathway. Because I think, you know what it is, I can't remember where I saw this, but we're all lines, right? And technically our lines, sometimes they intermingle and then they'll go different paths, but now we've made it seem like they will continuously intermingle regardless of how physically away from each other we go. So
Yeah.
you don't know if the people that you constantly are keeping around you and keeping tabs on around you are the people you genuinely need for growth or whatever. That's a different question. But not everybody's involved in each other's lives, and that, I think that's what Instagram's become for me. Very similar to Sid. I feel like Akil, I don't know about Akil, but I'm going to ask you this now. But because like Instagram's become that way where I can sort of showcase, like my Instagram is so like it's just me. I think it's just me. Like I don't think I've ever posted anything for like aesthetic. I don't know what aesthetic is on Instagram. I mean I sometimes I see it and I'm like, wow, that actually looks nice, but I don't think I could ever do it. I just post my I don't even know what they are. They're just moments in my life really. And I like what Sid said about keeping a compilation of kind of like my memories. It's just digital compilation. Is it, I don't love it. I don't love being on technology. I'm super anti-technology in a way. I think everything I know how to do online is for survival because I need to do it. Otherwise I can't uni, I can't get a degree, I can't get a job, like, you know, like it's just survival for me. And I promise, like, I swear, if ever I make enough money to employ somebody, I promise you I'll employ someone to just take care of all my tech, because I don't want to learn any more stuff. Like I really do. Like I think I'm on the absolute extreme of the spectrum. I like contributing to it, but I know it's unhealthy for me and I hate how much it sucks me in. And especially with this pandemic, I've noticed specifically. So I don't know. But what about you, Akil? How's your relationship with social media been?
Um, I would definitely say like in the beginning, like in the early stages of social media, because I had social media like really young, like probably same 2008. I was like what, like 10, 11 years old.
Yeah.
And I would definitely say like I felt like maybe towards the earlier part of Facebook, like and Instagram, I definitely like, not necessarily that like I super cared about likes, but like it was a thing, and it's definitely something like I'll think about and like I'll be checking my posts like, okay, like how many likes did I get, whatever, like when I was 13, 14. But
Mm-hmm.
like as I like grew to, get older, like I realized like, bro, this is all some bullshit. Like who cares about these likes?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
like, like now to the now I've reached the exact opposite point where like most of the times when like I post on social media, I don't even know who likes it. I don't know who watches my story. Like, I don't even check that,
Yeah.
So I've like literally come to a point where it's literally the exact opposite, where I just not affected by it like in any way, like at all.
Yeah.
um I don't know, I feel like social media and like just technology is funny anyway, because I feel like I definitely don't need it, but like when I have a phone, I definitely will be checking. Like, it's just like a habit almost. Like it's not even something like you consciously decide to do. Like you just end up on your phone and you're like, bro, why am I even on Instagram? Like I did not even want to look at this. Like I'm just bored, and like it's the easiest thing for your hands to remember to do, that's like pick up your phone and check in and be like, bro, I don't even care about this, like why am I looking at this? So I don't know, but for me, like I know, like I've gone a lot of times where I lose my phone or break my phone, like almost every other month I
Yeah.
don't have a phone. And like when I have no phone, I feel like so free. I literally feel like, wow, I don't need to care when anyone wants to message me, wants to talk about me. I will do this when I feel like,
Like it.
but then it makes your life much harder, because like, just being in communication with people. Like, bro, in America, having no phone is like worse than having no house. Okay, I'm joking. It's definitely not that bad, but it's just so annoying. Like, you literally can't do anything out of anything you want to do. Like, they have to text you to like confirm and all this bullshit. I'm like, bro, I don't have a phone. Like, stop asking me for this shit.
Yeah.
So like it's kind of crazy that like literally so many things have come to depend on having a phone, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's wild. And like just like I don't know, I was thinking about this recently, like just stuff like phone booths where like you know you could come and just put in a few cents and like get a phone. Like that shit doesn't really exist anymore because like there's just the assumption that everyone has a phone. It's like almost like you need to have a phone. Like that's the way like how our like technology is being built. And I don't know, this made me think of something that they said in social dilemma that like really stuck out to me was when they said that a tool is like a tool could technology could only be a tool like if it's there ready for like you to use it when you need to use it, you know. But it's not a tool if like you feel like it is like persuading you, like you know, like making you come to use it. And I don't know, I thought that was very interesting, you know, because it really is like it almost like technology like persuades you to check it like to an unconscious level. And like that's not to say like oh we have no self-control or whatever, but it is something that is like literally like built into like our brains and like how it's wired. And they're like tapping into that subconscious thing, you know. So it's kind of crazy because like sometimes like when your phone is in your pocket and it vibrates, like 9 out of 10 times you're gonna want to check one time, like okay, what, like you know, like what is happening now, you know.
True.
And like I feel like for most people that would not be your default reaction, you know. Like you don't need to know like if someone tried to message you, bro, like you don't need to know instantly like, okay, what is like, you know, what is going on now. But it's made our attention span like come to the point where it's so short that like you know it's like we just need like these instant updates, like you know, like always need to know what's going on. And I don't know, so I feel like that is not in our best interest, you know, because it feels like it is using us more than we're using it.
True. Yeah, it's so true. I believe what exactly they said was they transitioned you from a tool-based environment to a manipulation and addiction-based environment. And that's how you get sucked in. You're manipulated, you're addicted. And you know, those words, like this is true addiction. Like this
Mhm.
is the biggest addiction. Like I think you know what I think? I think being depressed is the new STI, and being the new biggest addiction is social media. You've fallen into this trap and it's hard to walk out of it.
That's
So
right.
Sure.
This reminds me of my like a Gucci Mane quote too. Like you think it's funny, but it's the truth. A
yeah,
man is lost without the sauce, but the same man can be lost within the sauce. You know,
true.
like
Right. Right.
without technology, we're lost. We are lost. Like let's be honest. We're like when you're not connected, you are gonna lose out on things. Like unfortunately, these days you have to be connected at least to get your basic needs done.
Yep.
But like you can be lost. Honestly, okay. So I had I was part of a robbery recently and stuff, and they took my wallet, which really pissed me off because there was nothing they could have used in my wallet because it was back home, but it had all my UK cards, which wouldn't have worked, and very little cash and all that, but all my UK stuff, which now I have to come, like once lockdown has been lifted, I need to start like redoing and all that, right?
Thankful for stuff. Yeah.
But I was thinking the first thing I thought of after it all was at least I still have my phone because my phone still has like card contactless. It has like some of my ID things. I was like, fuck it. Like my wallet was a really nice wallet I got for my birthday.
Yeah.
But it is what it is, you know. This thing gives me like it has my cards, it has my ID. Like if this went, I was fucked. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Because it has a lot more than just my cards and what my the insides of my wallet, you know.
True.
So yeah, we're lost without technology, but I think if we're not careful, we will be lost within the technology. And
Okay,
a lot of us,
this brings me to my question to the two of you, because Akil and I started something nice saying it was going to be the Matrix exposed. And so in this documentary, this is the exact question they asked, and I need to ask it to you guys. So how do you wake up from the Matrix when you don't even know that you're in it? how do you wake up from the matrix when you don't even know you're in it? Like, we're trying to expose the matrix here. So how are we exposing the social media, social dilemma matrix to those people that don't even know they're in it? Because right now we're using it to get to them to pull them out. Does that make sense? Through the podcast. So how do you wake them up? How do you wake them up from the matrix when they don't know they're in it? So easy. I want to start with you.
You want me to start? Wow, okay, I'm getting called on, summoned. All right. Let me see what I think. Okay. Firstly, I want to say I feel like we've been critiquing social media and technology a lot, but that is not to invalidate like all the amazing great things that is possible because of this same technology. Like this very conversation is a product
True.
of social media and technology. Like Vash and I have not actually seen each other in real life for like the last 4 years, so the fact that we could even stay in contact is because of that. I've never met Sid before in real life, and the fact that we're being able to like have this entire in-depth conversation is all a result of that. And I feel like all the amazing things like technology has done has kind of convinced us that it's okay to like let them do all this kind of stuff. I realized recently like these technology companies are really taking me piss, bro. Like they literally are taking so much advantage of us. Is like crazy. Like I was thinking about recently, right? I was like, why do people just press agree to terms and conditions like without even reading it? It's
Yeah.
because you don't even have a choice. It's like either okay, you read this 30-page document saying a whole bunch of nothing and bullshit.
Nothing.
And even if you don't agree with it, guess what? You can't use it. So it's, it's not even like it's not even like you have the choice to say like, okay, like I want to use this, but I don't want this, and it's like it's just like, okay, you either don't use it at all or you take it with all these fucked up conditions, and it's like we're
The
just
ball,
allowing.
the ball's in your
What was
court,
that?
but your
Sorry.
ball in your fist.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I don't know, like why are we allowing this to happen? And that's why I feel like in terms of the matrix being exposed, I feel like the only way we could, like I don't know, quote unquote, solve this is if we actually demand like technology to be like an actual tool, something to use like when you need it and not something to like literally like take advantage and like um I don't want to say weaknesses, but like just things that exist in like human nature and like human psyche, and like like kind of attack those points and like have people subconsciously like to feel and think in certain ways, and it's not even something like you could physically see, so it's something very easy for you to dismiss at first, like
Yeah.
oh nah, like that's not true, like like you're saying like social media makes you crazy, but like how people could invalidate stuff so easily. So like once we literally accept that like okay, like this thing is actually affecting us in like this way, like you could actually see the changes in like how people interact like back then versus now, and it shouldn't be like that. Like it shouldn't be something we depend on, so I feel like that's what I think about it.
Yeah. Okay. What about you, Sid?
I agree. Basically, that's one of like the major things. I think first of all, I think we stand in a peculiar position of being the last few people who can still say we're part of the current generation, but we saw the rise of social media rather than being born when it was already a gargantuan
Next of it.
institution.
Mm-hmm.
So we can say we have perspective and say, look, now's our time. We're starting to be the head of our generation. Like our select few people, like years of people, are going to be the people that lead these kids on for a little while. And it's up to us. I think the key would have to be transparency, because we know there's some bullshit going on. They know there's some bullshit going on. We just wholeheartedly accept the bullshit because of all the pros it comes with. I
Yeah.
think everyone should be a bit less tolerant of the bullshit that the tech companies are giving us, because they all used to have the illusion that they were doing good. I think when you think of each of these companies, the big four, Microsoft, Google, Facebook, Apple, they all seemed like good companies 5, 10 years ago.
Hmm.
They were tech companies. What are they doing wrong? Nothing. They're giving us a platform, giving us technology, and they're also trying to do their best to then help. But no, it turns out like each of these companies have their own shady shit going on in the background, and they're obviously all businesses who are trying to make their own money and
I
the
mean,
like profit margin as big as possible. So, can you blame them? No, because the system is a capitalist system, and like if you want to succeed, you have to be unfortunately slightly crooked. But at the same time, that then means you can't just wholeheartedly agree to every term and condition they give you
yeah,
and accept it. Because yeah, if two or three of us say no, then oh fuck, you can't use our app. Fuck you. That's it. Like, what if they lost three people? But if a whole set of people stand up and hold on, like your 30-page bullshit means nothing. Simplify it for me. Do you know what I mean? Like, if I was a 10-year-old, what does this mean? Like, because 10-year-olds are using this application and they're clicking yes. So,
exactly.
where's the? It's like they were talking about this on the podcast on the show documentary as well. Was how Saturday morning cartoons, there was a certain like guideline there to follow.
Hmm.
Samurai Jack.
Yeah,
They wanted to make it as violent as it was,
and
but they couldn't kill those people. They couldn't have blood on Saturday mornings, so they
yeah,
made them robots. So they spill oil, but that's okay because they're not killing people and not breaking any guidelines.
true.
So
Mm.
I don't know if that makes a kid violent, because I grew up playing violent video games and watching violent things, and I didn't. Well, I've yet to kill a person. Let's leave it at that. Like, I don't know. Like, people test, people test me. Um, but at the same time, there were guidelines for a reason, because I'll give you a very clear thing, like YouTube for kids and stuff. My little cousin, when he was 3, the years between like 3 and 4, he lived with me basically. So I was like almost like a second parent to him, because I like took him place, picked him up from school and all that stuff.
Hmm.
And he used to watch a bunch of things on YouTube, because he had like a little baby tab or whatever that he used to watch on. His parents were okay with it, so we're like, well, look, no, we're not gonna fight with that.
You can't parent another person's kid. Yeah.
Right, exactly, you just look after them like the best you
Yeah.
can. And he started like getting violent after a while to me and my brother. We're like, what's going on? Like, what is this kid watching? And I checked his like YouTube, and he was watching this really weird thing where it was like an animated Joker, like from Batman, but he's going around killing people, and it was really bad animation, and it was like making weird noises, and he was going around like trying to like choke hold us, and he's 3.5 years old, so obviously he's not gonna get very far. But the point
I'm
was, he was
dead.
getting, so like at that age, you need guidelines. You need to see
Yeah,
robots get killed, not actual people get killed.
Yeah.
Um,
yeah,
and the fact that the internet is a lawless place seemed like a beautiful and like utopian thing at first, but that dream has turned into a nightmare. And I think we need to demand transparency from everyone. Like, if I'm using your site, I want to know who gets access. You say private, it's only your friends, but who in your team gets access?
Access.
Like,
yeah.
what are you guys saving about mine that I don't want saved? Like, there's certain things I'm going to be okay with saving. But what
Yeah.
if there's a picture of me tagged when I was drunk and I was 18 years old, and then now here I am, I'm 44 years old, I'm a successful businessman or something, and uh, this comes up when, or I'm at a job interview and this comes up, I was 18 years old. You know, there are a lot of things that you never know might come back to bite you in the ass. And we're living on the cusp of that digital age taking over,
Mhm.
where they're gonna have access to everything. When your name comes up, it's a file that comes up. You don't bring your CV. Your CV is
You're-
there.
Yes, you're right. You're right. When your name comes up, it's a file that comes up. You're right. Yeah.
And like it's the thump factor of that file that when you're sitting there and they pull your file up and you hear it go, and you're like, oh, it's either I did a lot of good shit, or oh, they've got a bunch of me talking shit to people,
Yeah.
fighting, oh my god, the illegal drugs, like
Yeah.
that's how China's already doing that, like social rating system, aren't they? So how far off are we really? And if we don't demand
True.
change now, and if we don't take the leadership on this to say that we know both sides of the coin, we see you
Mhm.
guys and we understand this is your generation, and we're not going to take anything away from you,
Yeah.
but at least listen to what we had to say, you know, like to look at how life was before and look at what you can still have with all these. Just because you demand transparency, these companies won't just dissolve and go away. The amount of money they make a year, they can't afford to. You know what I mean? The number of investors they have a year, like you can't afford any of that to just dissolve because people say we want change. If
True.
enough people demand it, change happens. You know,
Yeah,
it's
that's
uh,
true.
it's a
Um,
major social issue.
continue. It's a major social.
No, it's a major social issue. That's it. If you just like, we just have to push.
True. I like what you said about Samurai Jack and the robots killing, because it just brought up the concept of how just the killing in general, because I know there's something in the social dilemma where I can't remember who it was, but someone says you're worth more dead than alive, and we've done that with all the products in the world, you know, like whether, and he gave an example of a whale, it's worth more dead than it is alive, or like even general things like that. So we are worth more when our minds are numb and dead. So when we're
Yeah.
able to be controlled, and when we're able to just fall into a cycle of just whatever, just doing, we're not thinking, we're not absorbing, we're not actually snapping out of things, like we don't have that ability anymore. Yeah, like we're worth more when they have the control of that, and they have that ability to instrumentalize that and use it. But having said that, I don't know, just because I'm such a um huge I see the huge advantage that social media has given all of us to raise awareness about so many things. I don't think the fight of climate change is possible without social media awareness. I don't think these huge movements and calling to desystemize and decolonialize would ever come across if we did not we were not able to share such ideologies and opinions around the world. Like, look at the support Black Lives Matter got around the world. Look at the support NSAS is getting around the world. The diaspora has spread using social media, and so messages are spreading using social media. And so I see that advantage. And in a way, I think it just comes back to like holding yourself accountable and responsible, right? Like, you can, like, regardless, I know, like, I'm a law student, so I'm angry that there's no digital law about this. It makes me mad that we don't have regulations, that we don't have things. Why aren't we taxing data assets? Like, for me, I was like, we're not taxing that? Like, that's so much money that we could be taking from the actual rich and putting back into the system to benefit and direct in the right way if the system's used right. But like, why are we not doing that? You know, things like that actually make me kind of mad and make me want to actually instrumentalize that kind of reform. But you got to think about it, and it's like, regardless of these, you know, structures and legislature ever existing, there are going to be people. Look at the black market, look at the dark web, look at the deep dark web. Who would have thought things like that would have existed? You know what I mean? So just because we regulate stuff, and just because we place social fabrics, we sometimes tend to forget about the things that build and grow underneath the fabric. So things like the deep dark web, things like, you know, regardless of how much placement or legalization of various drugs you do, the illegal dark, you know, black market still thrives. People still have so much money. Look at the mafias, look at the mobs, like they are growing, they are thriving over like social fabrics that are not even tangible to normal society. So regardless of how much you regulate, there's always going to be that extra factor. That's why I think it always comes down to like your own self accountability and self responsibility in a way, and like coming back down to what are your morals, and what are you going to sit around to accept those morals, and like coming back down to understanding that we are communal, so the collective will should be more important than than imposing your personal will. You can have your personal will, but don't impose it on the collective. And right now it's too easy to impose it on the collective, and we're all getting lost in that, is what I think is happening.
I want to say that yes, when I do agree with the like personal responsibility points to an extent, but I would say if that's to be the case, then realistically, everyone just have to stop using social media, because I feel like we definitely do have to demand that the people designing this software, like, design it in a more ethical way and not in a way to like literally like persuade people's mind, even in a way that they're not even like they don't even know what's happening to them at that time. And I feel like we definitely need to like do more to raise awareness in these effects that it's having on people.
Mm-hmm.
And short term, like most people could do is just reduce their social media use and but like you see, that's even hard to say, because literally social media has become a point where like people literally like make their livelihood from it. Like a lot of people, even if they're not influencer, like if they have an online business or whatever, if they're an artist or whatever, they definitely need to have social media and like be updated on social media to like support their livelihood. So if you could find a way to balance and distinguish, like using social media like as a tool rather than just like scrolling like endlessly like in a mind numbing way and being caught up in the social media antics and like validating yourself based on what you see like other people do online and that kind of stuff. So it's definitely a hard line to balance, but you need to kind of keep those priorities in perspective, like when you're using social media, I definitely think. But at the end of the day, I feel like it would only be effective if it's also designed in a better way that doesn't like kind of, I don't want to say force, but persuade people or manipulate people to like keep coming back and using it in that type of way.
Yeah. Mm, I don't know. I still think it comes back down to personal like accountability and response. Like if you're responsible for your actions, right? Like I do think like regardless of how much we regulate, and it's a spectrum, good will turn into bad. Something you put into the world that was meant to do like positivity and inclusiveness and blah blah blah, that the scale will tip at one point in order for a new equilibrium to be brought into account. Like that's just how I think like scales work. It'll we will never have complete dynamic equilibrium because it'll tip and then it'll come back again, but it'll be a new state of equilibrium. And maybe now this new state of equilibrium is an equilibrium where social media use is very frequent in our lives. And like how, like I don't know, do you guys think AI is the future? Because I think it's inevitable. Is it inevitable at this point?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, definitely not really.
Mhm.
So when it's inevitable, are you going to just say, yeah, like no, like let's not use social media, or I'm going to reduce my social media usage, when even just your basic survival entails an extreme large dosage of it, you know? So
Yeah, but I feel like, sorry, I was gonna say, I feel like AI is still designed by people, and like the functions that is run and like the way how it builds its algorithm is also like that is, yes, it does like like through trial and error and just repeat and stuff, like it builds its own, but just the base model of how it interprets that is still created by people, and like it's like created to be used like in a specific function. And I feel like yeah, the end of the day is like literally up to like how you use social media, but there's still that way how it affects you in like a subconscious level. So I feel like I don't know if it's realistic to call for it to be, redesigned or whatever, but I definitely think is like in his like because you also don't even have a choice. That's what I think the problem is. Like literally, like you don't even have a choice with how they use all that data and all that shit they collect from you. Like
yeah.
literally, you don't even have a choice for if they take it, what they take, how they use it, or nothing. And at the end of the day, like it's become so ingrained in our life that a lot of people like, they don't just have the choice of just using it if they want to, like they have to use it. So that's where I think it gets tricky in finding the balance.
I see. What would happen, and I'm just asking, I mean, maybe someone who's got a more like businessy approach to this might give me an answer that maybe my mind's searching for. But in my head, somehow I feel like the situation became worse when it was people all around the world using the same app, right? What happens to like localizing? Let's say if everybody in each locality only used social, like an app specified for their locality, would we be experiencing the same kind of surgence, like resurgence?
The problem is not the app. Um, I don't think it's the look. So they raised a very interesting point in the documentary as well, and it's in the book *Sapiens* as well. Man was, like for the longest time when man was man, like post evolution, when we were like moving on from cavemen, we lived in communities not larger than like maybe a couple hundred people. You know,
Mm-hmm.
the most people are gonna hear you is a couple hundred people's worth. You know,
Yeah.
and some obviously will travel across to other like places where there's another settlement of a couple hundred people. And if you're a great enough person, your story gets told on. But yeah, how many thousands of people at the end will know about you by the time you die? Not a lot,
No, no,
right?
no.
That changed a lot. And I mean, this is a controversial thing, and I don't really know like if I'm touching a touchy topic here when it comes to religion, but that's where religion kind of came into play, because it was a way of uniting thousands of people under the guise of one supreme being who was telling you, yo. And initially, I mean, the concepts were good as well. Do unto others as you want to be treated. Just be good to people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not me telling you, because you don't want to listen to a random guy. It's the person that created everything. Fuck, you don't know about atoms and shit. So if a big
Yeah.
man in the sky created things, you're gonna accept it at that point. You don't have social media. 300 people. That's it. That's your village. You haven't been out of your village. You go out of your village, you'll die. Like
Yeah.
only the messages can go across village to village. So like the shift that happened from us being small clusters of people didn't really shift, even though like we started living in bigger things. You still only knew small clusters of people. So
Mm-hmm.
even in the 90s, like you're living in New York City, where you're living in skyscraper buildings where each floor has 300 people. You don't know those 300 people.
You
You
don't.
know people maybe on that floor, 20 people in the building if you're lucky. You know what I mean? You know your people from other places. Suddenly now you've been allowed this opportunity to tap in to a big market, right? Now, even in the 300 people, again, like you only know 20 people, 30 people. You don't know everyone in your village, do you?
Mm-hmm.
So even giving someone the ability to tap into a 300-man circle, you're still looking for the same things you're looking for from a 3 million-man circle, your validation. A lot of people that get addicted are looking for things they seem to not either have in life, or they seem to think they can't get in life. Do you know what I mean? A lot of these people honestly can like deal with their problems by just taking a look at things, stepping away, and realizing, hold on, like I think I'm going overboard here a bit,
Yeah.
but they haven't. Do you know what I mean? So I don't think it's the locality of the app. I think it's just the fact that the app itself. Too many people now are being born with the ability to speak to a vast audience, and everyone thinks they can make it.
True.
You know,
True.
everyone thinks
That
they
is
can make it.
true.
If you're validating yourself for everything, if you're surrounding your feed with positive things about all kinds of shit, and you every day your story is, oh, this guy made it by doing this guy made it by doing that. Everybody wants to be an actor now or a rapper now, and like, come on, how many rappers are there before you can have the 1,000 good rappers you have now? Do you know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong, and I'm not trying to shit on people's dreams. I hate doing that. But at
Mm-hmm.
the same time, if you tell yourself and you surround yourself with people that only validate you positively and don't give you a real, honest critique of what's going on in the situation, you really think you're gonna get anywhere? Like, and it comes back down to the fact that you're so invested in your social media circle that your actual social skills have lacked. My brother doesn't like answering the telephones, like unless it's on
I
his
get
cell
it.
phone. He doesn't answer the home phone. Like it'll ring and ring and ring. When he knows I'm at home, he won't answer it. Apparently, he answers it if he knows no one else is at home. He'll answer it. Otherwise, he'll leave it for someone else. Why? I
I'm
don't like
dead.
answering the phone. I don't know who's on the other side. Like, what the
I'm dead.
That's hilarious.
That's
So yeah, social media has, it's like social media has both, like you said at the beginning as well, bro. It's a paradoxical thing where it's put us more in touch with people across the globe, where I've met someone I've never met before, and I'm having an amazing conversation that I haven't had with a lot of people that I've known for years.
Mm-hmm.
But I've lost touch possibly with people who are across the road from me. My housemates, like, I just moved into this house, and they're really nice guys. I have spent time with them, but I think I've spent more time on Facebook than I have with them in the week that I've been in this house. You
Yeah.
know,
yeah,
so
exactly.
like, have is that weird? Maybe, like, surely, because if this was 10 years ago, I would have been chilling with them. I wouldn't be on some random. My phone wouldn't be this big. It'd be a lot thicker, and data would cost a lot more.
I
So
love
it all just be in one place.
that. Do you
So
think but I think that's because I think it also comes down to the amount of power we've given numbers, right? With the opening of the market and with the larger your audiences become, you have given the larger the number, the more economic incentive to grow and the more financial accumulation, and like we've given power to the bigger number, so everybody wants to consistently achieve a bigger number,
Yeah,
and that's very evident in social media, and that kind of algorithm is what I think a lot of people who try grow and launch themselves off of tap into, because it's the algorithm you need to tap into in order to grow on social media. But it could go like vice versa, and it could go down a really wrong way, because then you're right, like you are connecting to someone right across the globe, but you've forgotten to connect to the person that's physically right, like in front of you. So the distance became way more of a wow factor than like the small distance sitting in front of you, that of a conversation you could have, like I do definitely see that. I do. What
yeah,
I like the way the guy, I can't remember his name and I feel bad, but anyway, everybody watched the documentary, but the end, he kind of says, he talks about how the critique the people who critique are the true optimists. And I that really like sung synonymous with me, because I'm like, it's true. Like, if you're going to constantly just surround yourself with people who are going to sing your praise, there's no fun preaching to the choir, there's no growth in preaching to the choir. So
right.
um
yeah.
it's
Oh,
about, yeah, I do see that. And I know Sapiens talks a lot about like your impact as a human and the circles that go with it. I do believe it's a ripple effect, and I think in such a globalized world that we live in right now, the ripple effect is a lot more evident. Back in the day, with the ripple effect, there were slow ripples, but now the ripple effect, they're very short ripples, they ripple really, really quickly, and social media really, really contributes to how fast that ripple rate is.
yeah.
So yeah.
I want
Closing
to say a final thing based on what you just said, bro.
go.
So, like that thing where you said with numbers and like we put power in numbers and all that. I think that's interesting because like we've started like attaching like a value to like and like to having like a large following and like all these big numbers, and it's like people like attach themselves to like this status of being like famous, so like Instagram popular or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I thought it's been crazy because in the way how it affects like our mentality, like I've been starting to realize more and more people feel like it's not okay to just be a regular person, like everyone feels like they need to be like this big superstar, like, I don't know, like famous person. And like, people kind of are starting to look like, everyone's like, oh yeah, you need to get on your hustle, you need to get on your grind. So like, and like just being wanting to be like a regular person, like I don't know, work a normal job or whatever maybe like a simple person might be easier way to explain it, is like almost like looked down upon now. So I don't know, I find that's an interesting way to show how people's mentalities are changing
Yeah,
based on social media.
true, very true.
Yeah.
That is very,
Final
very
thoughts?
true.
You have anything you want to finally say?
Closing remarks, Mr. Sid.
In conclusion, I'm joking.
En conclusion.
Closing remarks. I think we covered pretty much anything and everything we could cover. It's a slippery slope. I think everyone, again, it comes first and foremost is always down to you as a person. If you are a responsible person, then you and your surroundings should be okay. You know what I mean? And if you're able as a responsible person to influence your circle responsibly, then you guys should all be okay. And if that's like, if you can just do that and you widen your circle bit by bit and you just get at least one person doing the right thing, then already you're on the right track. But it's that I think there's a lot of factors that need to come into play, and we all have to realize that there's a business aspect to it that no one is thinking of, because like you said, nothing is free in this world. Nothing is free. You buy something, you get something free with it, yeah, but you're paying for that extra bit. You don't realize you're paying for whatever you're getting free. You know, nothing ever comes for free. There's always a price you pay, whether it's now or later.
Mm-hmm.
And we're moving towards a world that's increasingly digital. You can lose everything and still make everything work online. And that, while that's very helpful, it's really like effective, and it takes your mind off things because you can do everything from one place. It also means that at some point everything you do is going to be accessible to, well, probably the authorities. But if like, we've seen how good the authorities anywhere are. You know what I mean? Like, we know
Yeah.
that there are flaws very seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And so if they can access it, surely people that want to access it can access it. We all just have to be careful. We have to put our best foot forward. And yeah, I just appreciate that we're living in a time of such technological innovation and advancement. There's the quote from the documentary that says, any technology, I think I'm going to butcher it, but any technology that's so far forward is magic. Magic is basically just unthinkable technology.
Yes, yes, I have it
Yeah,
written down.
like you said as well, you bring someone from ancient Greece and tell them, oh yeah, listen, you're going to talk to someone who's in Greece. You're sitting here in the UK. They're going to be like, whoa, what the, like, are you fucking crazy? There's ghosts in your mirror. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
Could
say
it
the
be impossible?
illusion. They say the illusion of magic is evident in the social media approach, and that's why it's persuasive technology. Yeah.
See, like, it's ridiculous. I mean, when we all got on Facebook 12 years ago, no one thought that it would take over our lives the way it did. We just thought, oh, we'll talk shit to our friends. I had a friend who got into trouble because in standard 6, he was like 10 years old, he got on Facebook and figured out, oh, you can write statuses. So from the library wrote his name, and it is having sex, which is a great joke, for a 12-year-old as well. But he was also a teacher who looked at his Facebook and break and was like, what the fuck? Like, and he showed us, like, this is why you shouldn't be using Facebook. And he was explaining to us, and we're
Yeah.
like, okay. And now, like, it owns the 3 main apps everyone uses, like the
Yeah.
company. Well, what the Zuck? Like, it, everything has changed so quickly. So if we don't make sure that we put our foot down, these put our like impact on what's going on,
Yeah.
the train's gonna leave without us, and then we're gonna be hanging around like at the back and praying we don't fall off.
Yeah.
Like,
I have something else to add. I think also I completely agree, and I think we're all closing along the same spectrum. But don't think that the solution needs to come from the technologists themselves. Please don't think the only way to solve this problem is only if social media changes, only if regulate. No, it's you. Like, you are the producer, so I really like that term. You're the prod user. So remember that as much as you produce, you use. So be conscious of your give and take on artificial platforms, because reality is not intangible, it is very much tangible. And find that collective reality, that shared reality, find collective wool. I think it's a good documentary to gain another perspective. Don't let it disappoint you if you are one of those people that love using social media, because there are many joys that come from it. But just be healthy of your usage, healthy of your dosage, and make sure it's not stealing the true magic in your mind. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I have to
Um,
say.
me, closing remarks. No one cares if you're TikTok famous. Mark Zuckerberg, you're annoying. Stop your shit. Um, you use social media as a tool. Don't be idolizing no one you see on the internet and feeling like you need to live like them or whatever, because most people be capping and only showing what what they want you to see about themselves on social media. And yeah, don't take it on too much. Just go chill nature sometimes and put away your phone.
Put away your phone, but listen to us and then put it away.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Play the
Go on
podcast.
something nice
Put it
and
away.
Spotify, put that on, you
But
know.
before we leave, Sid, do you want to just let the listeners know like what's going on in your life? Where can they find you if they are interested to hit you up? What are you doing? Just like give them a little bit of what's happening in
Content.
the Sid
A
world.
little plug, last minute plug. All right, so I'm in Swansea University in Wales. I'm currently doing my master's in sports marketing and public relations and strategic communication. I did my BA in media communications, public relations. I am currently just trying to get back on track with my masters and like make sure I'm on course with all my lectures and stuff. It's been a bit of a ride getting back and all that. If you want to find me, I do have an Instagram and Facebook. It's siddharth.damodar, at siddharth.damodar on Instagram, or my name on Facebook if they're interested. And yeah, and I'll try and be responsive. It is a private account as well, so you'll have to request. But if you see me
Handle your
not,
fame responsibly.
yeah, if you don't seem weird, I'll accept. So um, yeah. But anyway, thanks for having me, guys. This was really cool. I really enjoyed the first few episodes, so it's great to actually be featured on. And yeah, it'll be nice to tell people I was on it before it blew up like big time. So
Oh, talk kids.
We're
Talk.
ready,
yeah,
bro.
yeah, of
Oh,
course.
yeah. We'll
Okay,
have you
Yeah.
back again.
for real, for real. Peace out until then. Bye, everybody.
All right, people.